Hi, everybody. This is Sondra Ray. I'm here with my husband, Markus Ray. We're so happy you joined us for this session. We're going to talk about our favorite subject, which is relationships. The title of this webinar is Love with No Conflict: 7 Steps to Peace in Your Relationship. We're going to get right to it and not mess around with a lot of other unnecessary stuff. So here we go.
Who is this webinar for, you might be asking? This is for any couple who is committed to taking their relationship to a deeper level of intimacy and understanding, which will result in more peace and joy all of the time. This is for partners, married couples, gay lovers, newlyweds, people engaged, and especially it's for you couples in crisis who would rather have a breakthrough instead of a breakup.
In the next 45 minutes, you will find out how to use your thoughts to get better results in your relationship. You will find out how to get over destructive habits you picked up from your family. You will find out how to get solutions to problems much quicker without having an upset. You will get clear on how to be free of conflict and insist upon peaceful communication. Also, how to overcome any anger. Also, how to discover the real purpose of why you are together. You will also get clear on how to get great support to make the changes you need to make. Our promise to you then is a step-by-step strategy for having a conflict-free relationship, which is a lot of fun.
There's nothing for sale here, but we do have a free gift for you for listening to this webinar if you stick with us to the very end. We respect your time, therefore we want to give you some of our best insights we have discovered about relationships over the years. Normally, we only give these out in our live seminars that we teach worldwide, such as the LRT, the Loving Relationships Training, where we discuss relationships in depth.
Does the following sound like you and your mate? You feel there's something sabotaging your relationship no matter how positive you try to be. We've found that people have subconscious thoughts that they're not even aware of that are really sabotaging their relationship. They could have a thought like this: I'm not good enough, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I can't make it. Or they may have thoughts about relationships. Relationships never work, relationships end, I can never be happy. These kind of thoughts will always disturb your relationship. Do you find that you notice you are copying your parents' dynamics even though you don't want to? Well, this is because everybody seems to be addicted to the past and frozen in the past. Do you fight over things that are small and you can't seem to agree on the important things? Well, this is because fighting tends to be an addiction, and maybe we learned this from our parents, that fighting was okay. Or maybe you notice these following problems. You want to overcome your anger, but you seem to explode anyway. We have found out that people don't want to give up their anger very easily, and we have to help them get over their fear of giving up their anger. Do you feel alone and empty even though you have been together for years? Maybe you are even beginning to question your life's meaning. It's amazing, but most people haven't even discussed the purpose of life and why they are here. Do you feel unsupported with no one to go to for help? Maybe you've tried to share this with all your friends, but that didn't really help you change.
These are some of the common problems that people feel in relationships. But maybe there's one big problem that you're even afraid to face. Do you secretly feel your relationship is a living hell and you might not make it together? Often people feel trapped in their relationship. They feel helpless. They feel like they don't know where to go to get a change. They feel like their mate is not listening to them. And they feel like they have to stay in the relationship because of what other people might think if they leave. But this is not the real problem. The real problem is you have not made the shifts. If you are in disharmony with your mate, there are shifts that you must make in order to restore your relationship to harmony.
Once you make these shifts, you both will be absolutely certain that you really want to be together in a totally harmonious and loving partnership. And you will do all of this while tapping into the joy you first had when you fell in love. Once you make these shifts, you will totally understand how to be in charge of your results and get what you want with your mate in all situations. You will be free to create a totally new relationship based on your own model in the present and be an inspiration to everyone around you.
Once you make these shifts, you will be in a new paradigm of spiritual intimacy that goes far beyond what you have ever had before in your relationship. One thing you need to know, though, there are 7 simple shifts you need to make to have a conflict-free relationship in which you are both certain you want to be together. This is very important. You have to be certain you want to be together. We are going to walk you through those shifts today. You will no longer be in the dark why your relationship is not working the way you want it right now.
We thought you'd like to know a little bit about us. I am Sondra Ray, and I'm the founder of the Loving Relationships Training, which I have taught around the world for over 40 years. I'm also the author of 20 published books on relationships and spiritual subjects, and also the founder of Liberation Breathing. I am one of the very first Peace Corps volunteers who served in the Kennedy era. I'm also one of the very first rebirthers in the world and did research on how your birth affects your relationships. When clients come to me for rebirthing sessions, which we now call Liberation Breathing, I study what happened at their conception, their pregnancy, their delivery, and their postpartum period. And this all adds up to what we call your birth script. And clients would come and tell me all their problems in relationships before I would have them lie down and breathe. And during their breathing session, they'd actually have a memory of their birth. And I was astounded to find out how their birth was actually affecting their relationships. So I became known as one of the first rebirthers in the world and one of the first experts on the subject of how your birth actually affects your relationships.
I am Markus Ray. My work with Sondra Ray has taken me around the world to over 25 countries. We teach people how to have conflict-free relationships. We have this spiritual mission, mainly because we have a conflict-free relationship ourselves, and one of the principles that we employ is to always have deep ease. I share A Course in Miracles, which I studied for 30 years. This modern-day scripture gives us the principles for true enlightenment, which are essential for living a fully joyous life. Also, I am a poet, painter, and author of Odes to the Divine Mother. I paint portraits of the spiritual masters, and together with Sondra Ray, we have just written a book called Spiritual Intimacy: What You Really Want with a Mate.
Let me tell you how I discovered these 7 shifts. In all the years that I taught the Loving Relationships training around the world, I listened carefully to so many people share about their relationships. I also listened carefully to all my breathwork clients that came to me. And over these years, I noted where people seemed to be stuck and what things were missing in their life. So I wrote all this down, and this became the research I did for the 7 shifts.
The 7 shifts, what are they? There are 7 shifts you must make if you want certainty in your relationship. If you want to be joyful and harmonious together, these shifts are essential. They will give you a new love with no conflict. We are now going to walk you through all 7 shifts in this session today.
Shift number 1. You have to take 100% responsibility for your results. Your results are produced by your thoughts. Positive thoughts produce positive results, and negative thoughts produce negative results. We should have learned this the first day of school. This is the real key. Now, if one of you in the couple gets this and the other doesn't, it could be a huge problem. The other thing you need to know is that even your subconscious thoughts are producing results, and you're responsible for them too. But this is the tricky part. How do you find out what they are? Well, we have very simple, clear ways to find out what they are. Therefore, blame is always off the track. Never blame your partner for anything, even their mistakes. Often, they're just acting out the role you assigned them, that you subconsciously assigned them. You are never a victim of anything. Everything that happens in your life, you attract by your thoughts and feelings. We could say life presents to us what our thoughts are. Your thoughts are always producing your results. You know, experiences just don't jump in front of you by themselves. You actually call those experiences in by your unconscious or conscious mind. The good news is you can always change your thoughts and therefore get new, different results.
Some of the reasons why you are not in a harmonious relationship could be listed below. You don't really want to be with your mate, and you're too afraid to leave because of money, guilt, or what other people might think. These are common reasons why people stay in a dysfunctional relationship. You blame your mate for the faults you think they have and for not changing to fit your image of who you think your mate should be. We hear this over and over again. If my mate only changed, if my mate only did this, we would have a wonderful relationship. But change is something you have to initiate inside yourself first. If you don't get that your thoughts produce your results, you're going to have many consequences. You will continue to blame. You will feel like a victim. You will continue to fight. You will not have peace in your relationship. You will drift further apart. You won't solve any of your problems, and you will continue to be miserable. If you do get that your thoughts produce your results, there will be wonderful benefits. Your conflict ends immediately. You gain power over your thoughts. You can shift any situation to joy by changing your mind. You will feel good instead of bad, and you will be certain of your love, and you will have better communication in all areas of your life.
The next thing you have to realize is that your mate is your mirror. It doesn't matter how much you say you want a good relationship. There is no escaping the cause and effect of your thoughts. Your partner is the mirror of your mind. Some people say you are the one you live with. When I was single, I went to a therapist, and he never wanted to know anything about me. All he asked me about was my boyfriend that I was dating at the time. I thought that was pretty strange. But then I finally figured out that he could analyze my case by studying the type of man I attracted. If you want a mate who's listening to you, be a good listener. If you want more affection, you have to give it. You have to give your partner exactly what you want from them.
In other words, what goes around comes around. So the shifts you want to have in your relationship, you have to be willing to give those things that you want to your mate. There's a Course in Miracles lesson that says, all that I give is given to myself. So what you give, you receive. This is very essential in coming to harmony with your relationship. Shift number 2. Throw out how your parents did it. You have to throw out the way your parents did it because the way your parents related was the old paradigm, governed by the way their parents related. Your parents related to each other probably the way your grandparents related to each other. And your grandparents related to each other probably the way your great-grandparents related to each other. These family patterns are passed down from generation to generation, and you're governed by these patterns. Therefore, to be free, And to have your own relationship, you have to look at these patterns and let them go. In other words, you have to throw out how your parents did it. You need to know that anything unresolved in your parents' relationship will come up in your relationship. One example, if they bicker a lot, you and your mate will probably bicker a lot. If they had money issues, you and your mate will probably have money issues. You will repeat these patterns until you throw them out. You are not your mother and you are not your father. Neither is your mate. So stop setting yourself up to copy them. You can disconnect from your family mind by declaring you can have your own mind. You must even make a conscious effort to disconnect from this mind. You can say, I disconnect from my mother's mind. I disconnect from my father's mind. And I disconnect from the family mind. This is very important if you want to have a conflict-free relationship. Being liberated from the past family mind gets you into the excitement and joy of the now. Why would you want to drag the past into the present? This is the main problem. People are living in their relationship now based on past patterns that their parents were stuck in. Throw out how your parents did it. People in present time with their relationship are more spontaneous, adventurous, and have more fun. Being in present time means you're in the now, and in the now are all the new possibilities that you want. And of course, this makes everything in your relationship easier than dragging along the past. Being comfortable with the unfamiliar is how we learn and grow. Step outside of your comfort zone with your mate. Many people come to us and say they're afraid of the unknown. But what's the real comfort zone? The comfort zone is something new, something that you're not used to. If you're really honest, you'd have to see you're in a discomfort zone right now, so why not embrace the unknown where all these new possibilities exist? So why not embrace the unknown right now where you have a chance to make a change?
In the Loving Relationships training, we talk about 14 different patterns that people all over the world tend to create in their relationships. I'll just give you a couple examples. Number one, you tend to attract a partner who is like the parent you had the most trouble with. Now, you would think you would want a partner who was like the easy parent, but it usually doesn't work that way. You tend to attract someone like your most difficult parent because you're really trying to learn forgiveness. Number two, you tend to create a mate who treats you the same way your parents treated you. Now, you might not like the way your parents treated you, so why would one do that? One does that because the mind seeks familiarity. There is also a disapproval pattern that we look at. It's related to the syndrome called the parental disapproval syndrome. What that is your grandparents probably disapproved of your parents a lot when they were little, and your parents didn't like it when they were kids, but they suppressed all their resentment. Then they grew up and had you. Then they took all that disapproval out on you and disapproved of you. You didn't like it when you were a kid either, but you couldn't do anything about it. So then you suppressed your resentment about that disapproval. And this goes on from generation to generation. That's why we call it a syndrome. And what happens in the pattern is you tend to expect disapproval from your mate, and you set them up to be your parent who disapproves of you because you're addicted to disapproval. And then you resent it, and then your mate feels guilty, and it goes on and on. We also look at guilt in general as a pattern. People are guilty about a lot of things. They could be guilty about past lives. They could be guilty about hurting their mother at birth. They could have religious guilt, thinking they're a sinner or whatever else the church taught them. They could have guilt for things they did as a child or recently things they did that made them guilty. And the thing about guilt is guilt always demands punishment. So then, if a person is hanging on to their guilt, they will create ways of punishing themselves, like losing their money or destroying their health or screwing up their relationship.
So the important thing to do here is throw out how your parents did it. This brings us up to shift number 3. Go for solution. But first, we're going to discuss how a lot of people try to solve their problems. Having love with a lot of conflict is the norm, but it's questionable whether love and conflict can occupy the same space. The old way of solving problems looked something like this. You would have a disagreement, and then maybe one of you would express your disagreement through anger. You would try to prove your point. You defend your position. Sometimes you would even raise your voice and get more angry. And then you need to prove your point in order to be right. In the end, you try to dominate your partner. And that usually ends up with one of the partners feeling very unheard. We've known people that have actually gone into doing the silent treatment for weeks on end. Does this look like you?
But we have another method, another way that really works better. You can use our secret method. It's called the highest thought game, and it's really fun. Going for solution has no anger in it. Solutions are much easier than debating and arguing. And higher thoughts you discover together help you solve the problem more easily. Solving your problems will make you both feel good. I'm going to tell you how this game works. First of all, you agree to let go of any need to be right. And then you have to be willing to let go of your position. And you start over and say, what is the solution? What is the highest thought to solve this problem? The highest thought would be the most positive, the most loving, the most productive, and it feels the best in your body. So if Mark and I are looking for the highest thought, if he ends up getting the highest thought, I gladly go up to his thought. If I get the highest thought, he gladly goes up to my thought. We don't even care who gets the highest thought. It could be a 5-year-old in the house channeling the highest thought. And if you get two thoughts that are equally high and you don't know which is the best, you don't argue about that. You go apart to meditate. So this secret method is really fantastic.
Yes, using the highest thought game is something that we use all the time. It takes you out of the need to be right and gets you with the solution. And it's the solution that both of you want. We think you can see now that you need a new mindset to have a different relationship. So we're just going to go through a quick recap. Now at this point, we know that we must be taking 100% responsibility for our results. We must throw out our parents' way of doing things and go for solutions instead of problems. And by using the highest thought game, we can arrive at a new mindset. We can solve the problems just by getting on the same page. Now let's look at how to connect with your inner peace to find lasting love without anger. Some of you may be saying that these shifts aren't possible, that normal relationships contain conflict, and that it's far-fetched to think that you can live a life free of conflict. Sondra and I have thought a lot about this issue, and we have an answer to that. It doesn't mean that issues won't come up in your relationship. Sometimes this is life. Things come up and you have to solve problems. But if you have a different attitude, solving problems doesn't have to end in an upset. You can have a different approach, and this is what we're after. The different approach is taking 100% responsibility. The different approach is throwing out the way our parents did things. The different approach is going for solutions and always ending up in a state of agreement rather than disagreement. These are things that you can do. These are practical steps everyone can take in their relationship to have better understanding. Wouldn't you want to be in a new vibration in your relationship where conflict is a thing of the past? Wouldn't you like to sit on the shore and watch the sunset together and be in harmony all the time? Look at the beauty of nature. Nature isn't in conflict. Put conflict behind.
Now we are ready for shift number 4. Use forgiveness for the key to happiness. Look at this picture. Does this make any sense? How many times have you yourselves ended up like this? What are the consequences of anger? I need to go over those for you now. Number one, anger is very destructive to your relationship and to your health. I can tell you this as an ex-nurse. People believe anger gives them power, but it's actually the exact opposite. It drains your power. In fact, anger makes you weak in every cell of your body. It diminishes your real power. Anger also causes separation and kills loving communication. Anger shuts out the mind of God and prevents your relationship from going to a higher level of consciousness. However, it's possible to give up anger forever if you both make that decision.
Making the decision to be free of anger is very important. Sondra and I, when we first got together, even made an agreement. We said to one another, we would like to have a conflict-free relationship. For Sondra, she had been meditating on the term deep ease for over a year. So when I came along and I said, I want a conflict-free relationship, she said, great, I've been meditating on deep ease, and that's exactly what I want. So the point here is that you have to make a decision from the very beginning of your relationship, or if you're in a relationship now, you have to reconceive it in this energy of no conflict. So what would be the real source of power? That would be something, wouldn't it, to be in touch with that?
So what is the solution for dealing with anger then? Number one, you don't want to suppress your anger because that hurts your body and that hurts your health. Number two, you don't want to express or dump your anger on someone else. That hurts them. Number three, what do you do then? Well, you have to change the thoughts that cause your anger and breathe out the charge. All emotions are spearheaded by thoughts. You have to find out what is the thought causing your anger, the main negative thought. You can do it this way. You can say, the negative thought that's making me angry is, and you can speak that calmly. Sometimes just sharing that thought will dilute the bad energy.
Peace is power. All of the spiritual masters say that. So in these next points, we're going to discuss how peace can be the solution to your problems. The way to peace is through forgiveness of all your past, including your parents, all your ex-mates, your siblings, your partner, yourself, and virtually everyone. People who are completely responsible for their thoughts can easily choose peace. When you are peaceful, people feel safe with you, and your partner can relax around you. People like to listen to those who are peaceful. They do not like to listen to those who are angry all the time. It's easier to go into agreement with your partner when the discussion is peaceful. But the real question people have is, how do you get to the peace when you feel hurt? We have to go a little deeper with this. A Course in Miracles says, I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. So it's our thoughts that attract the angry situations and the angry people to us. So we have to take responsibility for those thoughts. And forgiveness is the only way out.
Now we're ready for shift number 5. You have to see that your life's purpose is to know who you really are. Who is your real self? Your real self is not the person you think you are. It's not who you are in your career or job. It's not the person who is a victim or who gets angry. It is not defined by the personal choices you made in your past, by your successes or failures. It is not seeing yourself as right or wrong either.
So let's look at what most of us were taught when we were growing up. We were told, get a good education. By getting a good education, you could get a good job, you could support yourself, you could be happy. You could do those things in life that maybe your parents couldn't do, but now getting a good education was what we were guided to do, and that's what most of us did. We went to college, we got our degree, we studied hard, and then when we got out, we had our diploma, and that was our key to success. That was our key to a good life, to a good career, and to all the good things that we were looking for. Then maybe along the lines we met that one special person and he or she was moving along the same path that we were towards a career, towards success, and we got to know each other and we started earning our money in our chosen careers, and then maybe at some point we got a little closer and we got married. And then after a while, we were moving towards our desired goals and we were saving money, putting money in the bank. And then along came a dog. We thought if we have a pet, we'll be much happier. And then we decided that a pet wasn't enough. So let's start a family. So we had a kid. And now we need a house. So all this put together, we had all the things that we thought we were supposed to have the good life, but it's interesting. We still didn't feel completely happy. And we started to question, is this all there is? Life was not meant to be like this. Happiness is not something that you can achieve by adding more to your picture. This is what we call the roll the dice road to happiness. This is not true happiness because it leaves out one important factor. Who am I? Your true self is your God-created self. It is your real job as a couple to help each other wake up. Your true self is only love. You are together for the evolution of your souls. If you really get this, you can have the ultimate happiness and fulfillment in your life and your relationship. But if you don't get this, you can end up with a flat, boring relationship, stuck in discontent at best, or in a painful, polite hell at worst, even though you have all those things you thought you wanted. But which do you really want?
We'd like to introduce you to a couple who came to us in search of their true selves. This is what we call a soulmate success story. Ricardo and Maria are a professional couple, both lawyers in Brazil, who wanted to make contact with their spiritual purpose together. They joined us for 2 of our quests. Now they are considering what their larger purpose is. They both bring integrity to their work in the legal system in Brazil. You don't have to quit your job to be spiritual. You just need to bring it to more love. Ricardo and Maria came to India with us on one of our quests. They got so inspired, and then they started writing to us some of their thoughts. They said, "We love to be rebirthed anew each day, as if we really want to develop the capacity of being a channel of God." They said, "Everything is changing. We love to change too. It's natural. It's part of this sacred and wonderful process. When we change our negative thoughts, something very pure and real can be born. We have to open the space for the new." They also said, "Let's live our lives in this best way. Let's live in the moment, exercising our sense of presence. Let's be the personification of love in this world. We can. Let's awaken. We can join our energies and make a difference helping each other." They made a little picture book after their experience, and this is how it opened. "One day we met a couple with so much love in their hearts. There we are together with them. It was so wonderful to be with Ricardo and Maria in India. Maria didn't even speak English, but it didn't matter at all. These people got so high and elevated that we just felt wonderful being with them. We were so excited that they found what they were looking for." Then they said, in the end, "We realized then that we were born to be love."
This brings us up to shift number 6. Commit yourself to spiritual practices. Connect yourself with the ultimate life force. The ultimate life force is the energy that created you and the whole universe. Spiritual masters from all ages have often said, "Purify thyself," or "Know thyself." Daily spiritual practices produce the ultimate fulfillment. We spend part of our morning and evening connecting with our higher self. This is like recharging our battery. These are some of the spiritual practices that Sondra and I use to keep ourselves tuned up.
Liberation breathing is our main spiritual purification practice. The results are just fantastic. We are constantly hearing from people they get more out of a few sessions than they did out of 20 years of therapy.
The other thing we do in the morning is reading A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is a 365 lesson course that helps you learn the process of forgiveness and helps you clear all the past. Singing and chanting is another thing that we do. We have some very powerful mantras that we teach people in our classes, and these mantras, said over and over again, are very effective in keeping us in a conflict-free state. Writing affirmations is another powerful tool. Writing positive thoughts as antidotes to your negative thoughts and noticing how you're cleansing yourself of negative thoughts is a practice that we do often. Meditation is the bringing of the mind to stillness. This takes some practice, but when you put your mind in an empty state, it's very creative, it's very receptive, and you may get some very good new ideas. Fasting is another practice we do. We're so used to just feeding ourselves and stuffing ourselves all the time. When we fast, we notice that we don't need as much food as we thought we did. Also, we noticed how we're addicted to certain foods, and some foods we don't even need, so fasting is a good spiritual practice. Being in conscious silence is an excellent way to see that our thoughts produce our results. You can observe your thoughts more frequently when you're in silence. Attending seminars together is also a good spiritual practice, especially if both of you attend. It doesn't do any good for one person in the couple to ascend and get more clear inside themselves, and for the other person in the couple to stay stuck. In addition, we have found that working in groups is much faster than working on your own. So attending seminars gives you the opportunity to be with like-minded people who are moving in the same direction. Reading spiritual poetry can produce amazing results. And if you're not reading spiritual poetry, perhaps you could be writing it. I spent 4 years writing odes to the Divine Mother. It was one of the most deeply spiritual experiences I've had in my life. Writing spiritual poetry was an incredible experience for me. Some people like to journal as well. Writing down your thoughts in a book gets you very clear about your thought process and your feelings and your impressions about your life. This is a very spiritual practice. Listening to spiritual music is also good. Recently, we've been listening to Tina Turner chanting a Sanskrit mantra on YouTube. Have a service project. When I was with my teacher Tara Singh, he encouraged us to have service projects. So for 3 years, I helped in a Mother Teresa mission, and it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me a lot about gratitude, and how the source of gratitude is inside, not outside. Also, visiting holy places is one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can do. This is why we offer trips to Bali, to India, to Iceland, to Glastonbury, and other places around the world that are very charged spiritually. It helps you step out of your routine and be in a holy place beyond your imagination that helps you ascend. This is a picture of Sondra in Bali, in the immortal springs at Tirtha Impal. There are 13 fonts in which you bathe and cleanse yourself and ask for blessings. So why don't you join us on one of these quests, especially this one in Bali in December?
Okay, where will you go from here? Now you're ready for shift number 7. Invest in mentoring. Everyone should have a mentor. I really love having a mentor. Mentoring brings two things together, new ideas and accountability. If you don't apply these new ideas or are not accountable for them, what good are they? A good mentor forces you to adapt upward. In your spiritual life, this is called the principle of right association. A good mentor will give you great ideas and make sure you act on them. They hold you to your word. A great mentor puts together a powerful group of people all working towards similar goals. Being together in a group helps you make these shifts faster. Mentoring is a fraction of the cost of divorce. A divorce could cost you anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 or more, and it's much faster than traditional therapy.
Now you have a choice to make. We've laid out these 7 shifts that will bring your relationship to a conflict-free state. And you have to decide, which way do you want to go? This or this? Happiness or a Mexican standoff? It's all up to you. Why do you need a mentor? We just spent the last 45 minutes giving you new ideas for creating a conflict-free relationship. Would you have had these ideas before this webinar? How much more powerful would it be if you actually had a mentor who is supporting you through every single day?
Today we promised a step-by-step plan for having a conflict-free relationship. We showed you 7 shifts are necessary to make a change in your life. We showed that you are never a victim and that your true self is only love and that blame is always off the track. We showed you how to take 100% responsibility for your thoughts to get the results you want. We showed you how to get over destructive habits you picked up from your family. We showed you how to get solutions you want without ever having to get in a fight. We showed you how to embrace the power of forgiveness and use peaceful communication to overcome any anger or problems. How to discover the higher purpose of why you two are together. How to benefit from spiritual practices and mentoring, which will keep you on track with your new commitment to only love.
What you need for love with no conflict. These are the 7 shifts that we laid out in this webinar that if you apply, you can come to a totally new relationship with your mate. Take 100% responsibility for your results. Throw out how your parents did it. Go for solutions and play the highest thought game. Use forgiveness as the key to happiness. See that your life purpose is to know who you really are. Commit yourselves to spiritual practices and invest in mentoring. These 7 shifts alone are enough to get your relationship out of conflict and back into love. But now you have a choice. Which road are you going to take? You can go down the road of the 7 shifts and begin to apply these principles in your relationship, or you can go down the old road and just stay stuck. Which do you prefer? Obviously, you would want to make the shifts. So, when are you going to do it? How long are you going to wait to bring these principles into application in your relationship?
Here's how we can help. We and our team have set aside some time in the next week to speak to you personally about how you can apply these ideas to your relationship, starting today. This clarity call is free. The clarity call is for couples who are absolutely committed to love with no conflict right now. Couples who are ready to take an action to change. If you still want to blame your partner and be angry, this work is not for you. This clarity call is for couples who have the means and are committed enough to invest in themselves, knowing without making shifts they will not get the results they want. We will help you to make these shifts.
Some of you may be asking, why are we doing this? On the clarity call, we will help you get total clarity about exactly what you would like your relationship to look like and the exact steps you should take to achieve your goals. If you want us to help you, and if we think it is a good fit, we may invite you to become one of the new clients we work with over the next 6 weeks. If we work together, we will put you through the same program that we have given to many couples around the world that gives them deeper clarity and relief. The curriculum is designed to bring you to total inner peace and discover your purpose together as a couple. We will expect you to make these shifts, though, and create a new vitality, trust, love, and purpose in your life and relationship. Just click below. Because spaces are very limited, it's only 2 of us making these calls, so sign up now. Click here, sondaray.com, apply couples, and we'll look forward to talking with you on a clarity call.